Welcome to Trending Unpack, the show that dives into what the world's been searching for and why it matters. Today, we're taking a deep dive into something that's captured the attention of millions and is absolutely buzzing across every corner of the internet, the NFL Preseason 2025. Our mission today is basically to cut through all the noise. We've got stacks of articles, research, social media trends, and we're going to extract the most important nuggets of knowledge and insight about what's happening right now. And let's be clear, preseason isn't just a series of exhibition games. It's a crucial, high stakes period for every single team. And it's just this swirling vortex of fan debate, speculation, and frankly, pure anticipation. So we're going to break down why it's trending, look at the top storylines dominating conversations, see how fans are actually engaging with all this information, and, what it all means for the bigger picture of the upcoming NFL season. Okay, let's unpack this. Training camps have officially launched across all 32 teams. It was late July, right? It's this unified, simultaneous kickoff across the whole league. What does that immediate league-wide launch signify for the NFL and, well, its massive fan base?
Yeah, it's definitely more than just a date on the calendar. It really is the official, undeniable transition. You go from the long off season, which is all hypotheticals, right? Paper predictions, draft dissections.
Endless speculation.
Exactly. Speculation about free agents, contract stuff, what a new coordinator might do. But the moment those camps open, for all 32 teams, that's when the real work starts. It's tangible, on-field football activity. It's genuinely the first collective step towards the regular season for the entire league, all happening at once, coast to coast.
And the implications of that, when everyone starts together like that.
They're immediate and pretty profound, actually, especially if you're looking at it analytically. You see this instantaneous surge of content. But it's not just like generic news updates. Suddenly, the Jada folks at places like Pro Football Focus or Next Gen Stats, they have fresh real-time player movement data, drill performance metrics, stuff they just couldn't capture during the offseason.
Right, actual measurable activity.
Yeah, precisely. And this flood of specific, tangible data lets analysts start refining player projections. They can spot early scheme trends in a way that, hypothetical chats just can't. And for the coaches, it signals the start of real roster decisions based on performance now, not just potential on paper. Competitive evaluations really kick into high gear. They start gauging the talent they actually have, not just what they hoped for in the draft. You can almost picture that simultaneous burst of energy across 32 different facilities, players finally hitting the field. It's an energizing moment, definitely. Not just for the players, but for the whole football world.
And with all that energy comes the spotlight, right?
Yeah.
Especially on the newest faces. This is where it gets really interesting for fans, I think. Top rookie names are already trending. What's the immediate buzz around these new talents even before they've played a full game? How are teams and fans reading these early signs?
Oh, it's fascinating how quickly rookies can just grab the public imagination. We're already seeing top names, especially those high-impact positions, quarterback, running back, wide receiver. They're dominating discussions, social media, search trends, everything. These players, fresh out of the draft, they basically represent hope, potential, the future of their franchises. They're the new blood, quite literally.
So every throw, every catch is under a microscope.
Every single drill, every single snap. It's an intense spotlight because, like I said, these positions often translate directly to team performance. And, maybe just as importantly for the buzz, they have immediate fantasy football relevance.
Ah, yes, and it's fantasy. Everyone's looking for that next big thing, right? So, for example, a rookie QB might make headlines just for a perfectly weighted deep ball in a 7-on-7 drill. Drops right in the bucket.
Viral instantly. Or maybe an athletic receiver pulls off some acrobatic one-handed catch. Viral within minutes. And these are just pretty plays for the highlight reel. These are early signals the analytics teams are watching closely. They'll cross-reference these flashes with, say, early GPS tracking data from practices, looking for improved burst times, maybe refined route efficiency, trying to predict who might actually translate that college success to the pro game the fastest. So the pressure on these high draft picks, it's immense. Every little misstep, every highlight play, it gets amplified like crazy.
But it's not just the high draft picks making noise, is it?
No. And that's what's often equally compelling, sometimes more inspiring, even. It's the underdog narrative. You also get these surprise, undrafted players making headlines. These are guys who weren't picked, maybe signed as free agents, but they're just exceeding all expectations right out of the gate.
So what does making headlines mean for an undrafted guy? It's different.
Totally different. It's not about their draft pedigree because they don't have one. It's about sheer grit, unexpected flashes of brilliance, It means they've had a truly standout practice. Maybe they've surprisingly climbed the depth chart, jumped ahead of a paid veteran,
Wow.
or they made that highlight play, the viral catch in drills, the one-handed grab that just screams potential and forces the coaches to sit up and take notice. Imagine a running back, maybe undersized, but he's consistently breaking tackles in scrimmages, or shows an unexpected burst of speed that leaves defenders grabbing air. It's such a stark contrast, isn't it? The quiet, determined grind of an undrafted player finally breaking through versus the sometimes overwhelming expectation on a first-rounder. This early buzz, it's not just about raw talent. It's also about how quickly these new personalities and skill sets start fitting into the league fabric.
Okay, so individual rookies grab attention, definitely. But then there are the teams themselves, right? Especially franchises with these pre-existing narratives or maybe facing new situations. What does all this early activity mean for those established team storylines? Certain teams are already drawing massive attention. Why these teams specifically? What insights can we get from their preseason buzz?
Yeah, this is where the NFL's whole complex web of history, expectation, and frankly market size really comes into play. You see several key teams consistently drawing huge attention, and it's for very specific reasons that offer some unique insights into league dynamics. Take the Dallas Cowboys. Their whole America's team buzz is perpetual, right?
Right.
It's a self-feeding headline machine. But what's maybe insightful this preseason is how that intense scrutiny magnifies even the tiniest tactical tweaks. Unlike a smaller market team, right? Every minor adjustment they make, defensive line rotation, a new route concept from the OCA, it becomes a national talking point, which interestingly might force opponents to react to phantom changes before the season even starts. It's not just hype. You could argue it's a strategic amplifier for their coaching staff. Gives them a bit of a psychological edge through these inflated perceptions,
That's an interesting angle. The hype itself becomes a tool.
potentially. And their national fan base is just so huge, expectations always sky high. Every single report from their camp, every slight move, it's amplified everywhere. Impossible for them to fly under the radar.
Okay, what about other hotspots? You mentioned the AFC East, Jets, Patriots.
Right. Massive intrigue there. For the Jets, the attention often revolves around, say, a new quarterback, maybe a veteran brought in to finally turn things around, or maybe a highly anticipated coaching staff aiming for a real push for contention after years of struggle. They kind of represent that hopeful challenger narrative, carrying the weight of a, let's face it, long-suffering fan base. The deeper insight there is maybe the burden of expectation. How much pressure is on that new QB to learn a complex playbook under a microscope? How quickly can one bad practice send the media into a frenzy?
Yeah, you see that happen.
And then the Patriots. It's all about navigating a new era. Post-dynasty. Potentially a new head coach, new QB. Everyone's watching to see how they rebuild, redefine themselves. The compelling story isn't just personnel changes. It's potentially a fundamental philosophical shift for a franchise known for such consistency. What does a new era actually look like day to day? In player roles, coaching style, locker room dynamics.
And the 49ers. They're always in the mix, it seems.
Consistently, a strong NFC contender. Their attention often comes from key players returning from injury, maybe implementing new offensive or defensive schemes that promise some innovation, or just the sheer depth and competition on their roster. The underlying insight with the Niners is often the health gamble. How will key players coming back from long injuries really perform in camp? Will they regain that old form? Or will their absence have actually created unexpected opportunities for others, revealing some hidden depth?
And you can't forget the champs.
Never. The defending champions always draw immense interest. Whether they return mostly intact or had big changes, everyone wants to know. How do they handle having that target on their back? Is there a Super Bowl hangover? Potential regression? Or can they keep that dominance going? Every move they make gets analyzed through the lens of defending that title. And, the psychological toll of a championship run, that can subtly influence early camp performance. Players might be physically or just emotionally drained.
That's a great breakdown of how these team narratives really shape the focus. But beyond these big team storylines, you mentioned the raw, unfiltered moments from camp. Driven by social media, it's not just about the X's and O's or the official team news anymore, is it? Camps seem like fertile ground for viral moments, memes. How is that raw content shaping fan engagement differently now?
Oh, you've hit on such a crucial point about modern fan engagement. It is an absolute goldmine for relatable, authentic content. And it fundamentally changes how fans connect with the sport, I think. Those sideline mic'd up moments are a perfect example. They go viral instantly because they offer this fantastic, unfiltered authenticity. You get to hear players' raw reactions, the trash talk, the jokes, frustrations, their actual personalities shining through.
Humanizes them.
Exactly. It humanizes the athletes, makes them incredibly relatable, and often captures unexpected humor or intensity that a typical broadcast just can't. It feels like you're right there on the sideline with them, breaking down that usual PR barrier.
And the other stuff, like rookie hazing.
Yeah, things like rookie hazing traditions, the harmless stuff usually, and locker room celebrations. These give fantastic glimpses into team bonding, the unique culture within a pro football team. They show the camaraderie, the initiation rites, the lighter side of what's obviously an incredibly demanding competitive environment. Imagine just a short clip, right? A veteran good-naturedly joking with a rookie about carrying pads, or a spontaneous celebration dance after a great practice play. These things spread like wildfire online. They create shared experiences for fans, make the team culture feel more accessible. It's like getting an inside look at the personalities and dynamics shaping the team.
And the hashtags help fans find this stuff.
Absolutely. What's crucial is how trending hashtags act as these digital aggregators. Hashtag NFL Preseason, hashtag Camp Highlights, hashtag Rookie Watch, hashtag Fantasy Hype. They aren't just buzzwords. They're direct paths for fans to find and follow specific discussions, specific content streams. Tools like Google Trends capture these search spikes, showing us exactly what the collective fan base is curious about in almost real time. It's like a public interest barometer.
Which platforms are really driving this?
Well, you can't talk viral content without hitting the specific platforms. TikTok, obviously. Its hashtag NFL preseason tag is a powerhouse for short, punchy clips, quick analyses, user-generated reactions. It's immediate, digestible, super shareable, makes the sport accessible and relatable, especially to a diverse, often younger crowd. You might get a TikTok creator breaking down offensive line technique from practice clips, right? Offering a level of microanalysis you just don't get on ESPN.
And Reddit?
Then you've got Reddit, especially the RNFL preseason mega thread. That acts as this incredible hub for really comprehensive discussion. Fans share links, discuss rumors, debate deeply, offer diverse opinions. It's truly a digital water cooler for the most dedicated fans who want to dive into every single detail, injury updates, obscure depth chart changes, you name it. This raw, immediate content, it just fundamentally changes how fans engage. Makes it way more interactive and personal than it used to be.
Okay, so beyond the quick viral hits, the mic'd up moments, what are the bigger, maybe more substantive storylines, the ones really driving the conversation, dominating the sports and news outlets, the kind of narratives that have real teeth for the season ahead?
Right, this is where we start seeing the real competitive chess match of the NFL unfold. And these storylines have significant implications for team success, for player careers. The first, and probably the most prominent every year, are the QB battles.
Always huge news.
Perennial headline makers. Because, well, the quarterback is the most impactful position, the leader of the offense, often defines a team's ceiling for the whole season. And these battles come in different flavors, right? You might have a seasoned vet trying to hold off a promising rookie.
Or a new free agent challenging an established starter who may be underperformed.
Exactly. Or even two young prospects battling it out for the future of the franchise. The stakes are incredibly high. The outcome often sets the team's entire trajectory. And what's often overlooked, I think, in these preseason battles is the ripple effect. It goes beyond just the starting job. A really heated QB competition can elevate the play of the whole offense around them. Receivers, linemen. They feel the pressure too, wanting to impress both QBs.
Interesting. But it could go the other way too.
It could. A prolonged, unresolved battle might create this subtle but impactful undercurrent of uncertainty through the whole team, affecting leadership dynamics, maybe even locker room morale. Imagine, say, a battle brewing somewhere like Denver, maybe a savvy veteran brought in as a bridge, and a highly touted rookie who's showing unexpected command early on. Every single snap is analyzed, every throw scrutinized, because the identity of that franchise could shift dramatically based on who wins that job.
That ripple effect is fascinating. It's not just about two guys, it's the whole ecosystem. What about the players catching the ball? Are we seeing any potential breakout wide receivers emerging already?
Absolutely. And it's closely tied to those QB battles, naturally. Breakout wide receivers are so eagerly anticipated because, well, a receiver who truly breaks out can transform an offense, creates matchup nightmares, gives the QB a dynamic target. Early camp reports are vital here. We're looking for signs of increased chemistry with the quarterback, consistent, strong performances in practice, maybe a new coaching scheme that really plays to their strengths.
What kind of signs?
It might be a receiver who's visibly stronger, winning contested catches now? Or maybe one demonstrating an unexpected burst on slant routes, something the analytics guys will flag instantly with their GPS data. These early signals can suggest a receiver is really poised for a big year. And of course, the immediate fantasy football implications make this a highly watched area for millions of fans. You might see a third-year guy, previously just a complimentary piece, suddenly getting first-team reps, developing this unique rapport with the starter. That's a classic signal for a potential breakout.
And then, the tough part, the brutal reality of preseason. Unexpected injuries. It's the part nobody wants to see, but it's undeniably part of the narrative every year. How do those setbacks shape a team's outlook?
Yeah, this is the harsh, unpredictable reality. Unexpected injuries. Nobody wants it, but it happens. And even seemingly minor injuries in camp, early exhibition games, they can derail a player's whole season, force them onto IR, significantly slow their development. Think about like a starting cornerback straining a hamstring in a simple walkthrough. Seems minor, right? But if it lingers, it forces a rookie or maybe a journeyman into a critical role way earlier than planned, impacts the entire defensive scheme.
And injuries create opportunities too, right? The next man up thing.
They do. Conversely, a key injury to an established starter can unexpectedly open doors for others. Creates sudden opportunities, significantly impacts team dynamics, fan morale, everything shifts. It really raises that important question. How do teams handle these situations strategically? Do they truly lean into next man up? Or do they scramble? Look at free agents. These developments, a QB winning the job, a receiver impressing, a key injury, they immediately shape a team's trajectory and fan expectations, way before a single regular season snap. They define the early narrative, fuel optimism or, concern, and force fans to adjust their whole outlook on the year ahead.
And speaking of fan expectations, nothing fuels it quite like fantasy football. You mentioned it earlier. That buzz is already heating up.
Yeah.
How much do these early preseason insights actually influence millions of fantasy draft boards?
Oh, the influence is immense. And it starts incredibly early. It literally shapes millions of fantasy draft boards across the globe. For fantasy managers, the preseason is prime hunting ground for those sleeper picks.
Explain sleeper picks quickly.
Right. They're players who are generally undervalued heading into drafts, but they show significant, unexpected potential during camp or in those early exhibition games, and early camp reports are absolutely crucial for spotting them. We're talking about whispers from beat reporters, right? A player getting increased snaps in practice, showing strong performances in drills, maybe benefiting hugely from a new coaching scheme that perfectly fits their skills. These seemingly minor details can make a player's stock just skyrocket.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Imagine a relatively unknown, maybe third-string running back, suddenly gets glowing reports from camp, performs surprisingly well in an early exhibition game breaking tackles, showing burst, maybe even getting goal line carries. That can cause a dramatic jump in their ADP, their average draft position, where they're typically picked in drafts. A guy who was maybe a late-round flyer suddenly becomes a mid-round pick.
Wow, that fast.
That fast. Even limited preseason stats or just strong camp whispers can disproportionately impact perception in the fantasy world, creates immediate hype, drives up their draft cost, or, conversely, creates caution around players who aren't living up to early expectations. It really intertwines the real-world performance with the simulated game in a very personal way, gives millions of fans a direct, vested stake in what's happening on those practice fields. It's a huge driver of engagement, turning every camp report into vital intelligence.
Okay, so beyond the fantasy world, preseason is also crunch time for teams making tough choices. Roster shifts. It wouldn't be preseason without some surprising news about who's in and who's out, what kind of surprise cuts or roster shifts are typically dominating discussions, and what do they tell us about team strategy?
Yeah, this is really the cutthroat business side of the NFL coming into sharp focus. Surprise cuts are a regular, sometimes painful, feature of the preseason. And they always generate significant discussion, sometimes sending real shockwaves through the league. Often, these involve veteran players, maybe guys with high salaries who are seen as underperforming, or maybe just not fitting into a new coach's philosophy or scheme. It's a harsh business decision, but it frees up crucial salary cap space, opens up roster spots for younger, cheaper talent.
So established names aren't safe.
Not at all. You might see a high-priced, aging safety who's clearly lost a step get cut, even after a long tenure with the team, simply because his production doesn't match the contract anymore. Or, on the flip side, maybe a young player, a high draft pick from a couple years ago who just hasn't developed as hoped, hasn't shown the needed consistency. They might face a surprising early exit, even after the team invested heavily in them. It's a brutal reminder that potential only gets you so far. Consistent performance is everything.
And the flip side, players forcing their way onto the roster.
Exactly. A surprise shift can happen when an undrafted player, or maybe a low-round pick, performs exceptionally well throughout camp and in the exhibition games. Their strong play, unexpected as it might be, forces the coaching staff into difficult decisions. Often leads to them unseating a more established, maybe higher-paid player. Imagine a seventh-round linebacker, right? Through sheer tenacity, maybe a surprisingly quick grasp of a new defensive scheme, he's just consistently making plays in scrimmage. Forces the team to consider cutting a veteran who seems like a roster lock.
That must reveal a lot about the team's thinking.
It reveals a tremendous amount about team strategy, their salary cap management, the core philosophies of the coaching staff, the GM. It really underscores the intense, constant competition within the NFL. Every single player is fighting for a spot. This whole dynamic creates this constantly evolving landscape, keeps fans totally engaged as teams relentlessly work to finalize those 53-man rosters before the regular season kicks off. It's a stark reminder. No spot is truly safe. Performance in August can literally redefine careers.
And all these storylines, player performance, roster decisions, injuries, they get amplified like crazy by how they're covered and consumed. So who's really shaping this narrative? And how are fans juggling all this information from such different kinds of sources?
It's a really fascinating ecosystem now. It blends the traditional media powerhouses with these new, increasingly democratized platforms. On the traditional side, you've got the giants, right? ESPN. Their daily updates are still a cornerstone for how many people consume sports news. Their broad reach, their national analysis, their breaking news capability, they often set the agenda for what's considered important, provide that authoritative, overarching narrative.
And the league's own channels.
Yeah, similarly, NFL.com's training camp blogs. They provide official perspectives, insider views, often direct reports from team beat writers who have that exclusive access to practices, player interviews. These are the authoritative sources many fans turn to first for comprehensive, verified info. They trust them for the first word on major developments.
But that's changing, isn't it, with new media?
It is. We're seeing the increasing importance, undeniable importance, of new media. Those TikTok creators giving real-time analysis we talked about. They represent the democratization of sports analysis in its purest form. These creators often offer raw, more immediate, more personal perspectives. They might break down a specific drill they saw in a clip someone posted, react live to a soundbite from a mic'd-up player, offer quick takes that really resonate with a younger, digitally native audience.
It's a different style altogether.
Totally different. A stark contrast to the polished, highly produced content from the traditional outlets. It's commentary by the fans, for the fans, often with an incredible depth of specific knowledge, maybe about one team, one position group that might get overlooked by broader national broadcasts. And what's truly fascinating, I think, is the convergence, how traditional sports journalism interacts with these new user-generated content platforms. It creates this really multi-layered experience for fans, offers them a multitude of ways to follow the preseason. You can get the big-picture national perspective from ESPN, the insider details from NFL.com, and then dive into the immediate, personal, sometimes comedic reactions and analyses from TikTok creators or the sprawling discussions on Reddit. It ensures that no matter how you like to get your sports news, the preseason has you covered. Keeps the narrative constantly evolving, engaging, lets fans basically curate their own information feed.
It definitely feels like fans are more connected, more actively participating than ever before, almost like they're co-creating the preseason story. Where are they really digging in for that deeper engagement and discussion beyond just, passively reading the news?
That feeling is spot on. Fans are not passive consumers anymore. They are highly active participants in building the preseason narrative. And yeah, a lot of that deep engagement happens on platforms like TikTok and Reddit. For TikTok, it's not just highlight reels, though those are obviously huge. It's also immediate reactions to news, showcases of player personalities through those candid moments, comedic skits based on camp happenings, quick hit analysis from all sorts of creators.
So it's entertainment and analysis.
Both. Imagine a player's funny mistake during a drill getting turned into a meme instantly. Or a really insightful breakdown of a new offensive wrinkle from a creator who's maybe spent years studying game film. It makes the sport feel incredibly accessible, relatable, especially to that diverse, often younger audience who might not be sitting down for a 3-hour traditional broadcast. It breaks down barriers, makes the NFL feel more personal somehow, fosters this real sense of shared community.
And Reddit. You mentioned the mega thread earlier.
Yeah, Reddit, and specifically that NFL preseason mega thread, is like the ultimate community-driven hub for really detailed news aggregation, comprehensive discussion. This is where the most dedicated, most analytical fans congregate. They're sharing every single relevant link from beat reporters, engaging in live discussion during practices, during exhibition games, sharing and dissecting rumors sometimes with surprising accuracy, actually, and engaging in deep, nuanced theory crafting. About everything from roster battles to subtle scheme changes, it genuinely serves as the central pulse for the most highly engaged fans, a true digital water cooler where every single angle of the preseason gets debated, analyzed, shared. It's a space where, seriously, one throw in practice can generate hundreds of comments, each offering a different viewpoint or analysis.
It's clear how these platforms really foster that unique sense of collective experience, shared knowledge. But then there's still the traditional media side. How do fans react to the official word, the comprehensive coverage from giants like ESPN, NFL Network, especially when they might have their own theories already brewing from Reddit or TikTok?
That's a great question. The official word from traditional media giants like ESPN and NFL Network, it remains incredibly influential, no doubt. But the way fans react to it now is really dynamic, multifaceted. Fans still rely heavily on these sources for authoritative updates, for breaking news, for that broader narrative being set by the major players. They tune in for the news segments, the punditry, the deep dive analysis shows that offer expert opinions and comprehensive breakdowns. For many fans, these platforms are still the foundational layer of information, the starting point.
But it's not just passive acceptance anymore.
Not at all. What's fascinating is the constant interplay. Traditional media sets an agenda item, and social media immediately reacts. Often with a critical eye, fans on Reddit, on TikTok, on X, they'll dissect every word from an ESPN report. Sometimes they question the assumptions critically, sometimes they amplify a point they agree with, and often they take that initial information and dissect it further with their own community analysis.
So they add context. Or argue back.
Both. For example, news broken by ESPN about a player's performance might be immediately picked apart on Reddit. Fans add context, maybe share conflicting reports they saw from local beat writers who are closer to the team, or they'll debate the pundits' take using their own statistical analyses. It's this constant feedback loop. Fans consume the official narrative, but then immediately engage in their own more granular, often more spirited discussions around it. It's almost like a collective fact-checking and amplification mechanism, all rolled into one.
Okay, and finally, let's talk about the lifeblood of preseason discussions, the fan theories and predictions. How much influence do these really have, and why are they such a core, almost primal part of preseason engagement for fans?
Oh, fan theories and predictions are absolutely integral. They're core to the whole preseason experience, and they hold significant influence, at least within the fan community itself. These aren't just idle thoughts, right? They're often fueled by very specific early camp insights, even seemingly unconfirmed rumors. A single standout play glimpsed in a shaky practice video, a report about a player's changed physique. Any of that can spark an elaborate fan theory, and these theories quickly escalate into widespread predictions for team records, individual awards, and yeah, back to fantasy football success.
Can you give an example of how that might snowball?
Sure. Imagine a brief video clip surfaces online, shows a player looking noticeably stronger, faster. Maybe they clearly reshape their body in the offseason. This one clip can lead to a massive debate across forums, social media, all about their potential breakout season. Fans will start citing everything from their perceived commitment to maybe a hypothetical new offensive coordinator's secret playbook that someone thinks they glimpsed in practice clips. It gets wild.
It sounds like fun, but also maybe a bit much.
It can be, but it's not just about fun. It's about collective investment, anticipation. The joy and, yeah, often the frustration that comes from making these predictions creates this really powerful community aspect. Fans love sharing their early takes, debating the merits of other people's predictions, and maybe most satisfyingly, validating their own initial hunches as the preseason actually plays out. They're actively creating storylines before the regular season even kicks off, which just deepens their engagement, their personal stake in the team, and player narratives. It's this collective form of forecasting that makes every single tiny snippet of preseason information feel incredibly important, fuels a season-long narrative arc right from the very first snap of training camp.
And there you have it, our deep dive into the NFL preseason 2025. It's crystal clear that preseason, maybe often underestimated, is just an incredibly rich source of insight and, yeah, entertainment too. It's really where the true signals for the upcoming NFL season start to emerge. Driven by this dynamic mix of raw on-field action, compelling media narratives from both traditional and news sources, and these hyper-engaged fan communities, it's definitely not just a warm-up. It's a vital, exciting, and deeply interactive prelude to the season ahead, laying the groundwork for every story, every triumph, and every challenge that's still to come.
Absolutely. So, as we wrap up this deep dive, maybe something for you to consider is this. What single piece of preseason information, however small it seems right now, could be just one practice report, maybe a specific viral clip showing a new technique, or perhaps a surprising roster move that shakes up a position group? What single piece might prove to be the most critical indicator of a team's or a player's success come the regular season? How do we, as informed fans trying to navigate this flood of data and hype, actually distinguish those true subtle signals from the overwhelming noise of all the early anticipation? It's a challenge, for sure, but it's also what makes this time of year so endlessly compelling to follow.
Next time on Trending Unpacked, actress and influencer Karrueche Tran is all over the trending charts. We'll explore why she's in the spotlight and how she's shaping modern celebrity culture.